I always thought my life was fairly ordinary. I work for an embroidery hat company, crafting custom designs for sports teams and local businesses. I take pride in my work, and it pays the bills. My wife Autumn is the love of my life, and we have a teenage daughter named Aurora. She's a bit of a stoner and tends to ignore her parents, but I chalk it up to teenage rebellion. I never thought anything sinister lurked beneath the surface of our seemingly normal life. But I was wrong. It all started with small, almost imperceptible changes. Autumn seemed distant, her eyes less warm, her touch colder. I convinced myself it was just stress of daily life getting to her. One evening, I was working late on a new hat design for a local baseball team when Autumn walked into my home office. She smiled, but there was something off about it. Something I couldn't quite place.
Leighton,
She said, her voice sounding slightly distorted.
you need to take a break. You've been working too hard.
I nodded, grateful for the interruption, and followed her to the living room. We sat in silence for a while, the only sound being the hum of the ceiling fan. I glanced over at Autumn, and for a split second, I thought I saw her skin ripple, like a stone dropped into water. I blinked and everything was normal again. "Hey, honey, you okay?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady.
Of course.
She replied, her smile returning, but it didn't reach her eyes. I tried to shake off the unease and focus on spending time with her, but strange things kept happening. One night, I woke up to find Autumn standing at the foot of our bed, staring at me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. Autumn, what are you doing?" I whispered, my voice trembling. She blinked as if coming out of a trance.
I don't know.
She murmured, climbing back into bed. The next morning I was in the kitchen making coffee when Cameron, my neighbor and best friend, knocked on the back door. Cameron and I have known each other for a few years, and he's always been a solid sounding board for my worries.
"Hey man, you look like shit.
Cameron said, handing me a beer even though it was barely 8 a.m.
What's going on?"
I sighed, taking a long swig. Something's off about Autumn. Last night, I woke up and she was just standing there, staring at me.
"Maybe she's sleepwalking or stressed out.
Cameron suggested.
Women are complicated, man. Just talk to her."
I nodded, but deep down, I knew this was more than just stress. One night, I had a long phone call with my mama Debbie. She's always been the wise monarch of our family, offering advice that was usually spot on. "Mama, I think something's wrong with Autumn. She's been acting strange and I swear I saw her skin ripple."
Leighton, sometimes our minds play tricks on us, but trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is.
Her words lingered in my mind as I hung up the phone. I decided to confront Autumn directly. "Autumn, we need to talk," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "You've been acting really strange lately. Is there something you're not telling me?" She looked at me, her eyes flickering that eerie light I'd seen before.
Leighton, there's something you need to know.
She began, her voice trembling. Before she could continue, Aurora stumbled into the room, eyes bloodshot.
"Hey, can you guys keep it down? I'm trying to watch TV.
She mumbled. "Aurora, go to your room!" I snapped more harshly than I intended. She rolled her eyes and shuffled away. Autumn took a deep breath.
Leighton, I'm not who you think I am.
My heart pounded in my chest as I watched her skin begin to shift and change. Her flesh turned pale and sickly, taking on a greenish hue as if decaying before my eyes. Her eyes, once warm and inviting, now glowed in eerie, otherworldly light. "Autumn, what are you?" I stammered, backing away. Her mouth stretched unnaturally wide into a sinister grin filled with razor-sharp teeth. Her limbs elongated and contorted, moving with an unsettling grace. From her back sprouted grotesque appendages that resembled twisted, gnarling branches, each ending in razor-sharp claws.
I am an entity from another realm,
she said, her voice now a chilling whisper.
I took this form to blend in, to live among humans, but I can no longer maintain the facade.
I was frozen in place, unable to comprehend the horror before me. Why did you choose us? I managed to ask.
I needed a place to hide, a family to observe. But now that you know the truth, I can no longer stay.
As she spoke, her hair, now resembling writhing serpents, hung in matted strands. Wisps of shadowy mist emanated from her body, and the air around her grew cold.
Leighton, I'm sorry,
she said, her voice filled with an emotion I couldn't quite place.
I never meant to hurt you or Aurora.
Suddenly, Aurora burst back into the room, her eyes wide with shock.
What the hell is going on?
She screamed. Before I could say anything, Autumn's monstrous form began to mimic Aurora's appearance. In an instant, she looked exactly like our daughter, down to the last detail. "Aurora, run!" I shouted, but the real Aurora stood frozen, her eyes locked on the creature that had taken her mother's place.
Mom?
She whispered, her voice trembling with fear. The entity turned to me, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light.
Leighton, you need to understand. I may look like a monster, but I still have feelings. I care about you and Aurora.
I shook my head, unable to process the nightmare unfolding before me. You're not Autumn. You're not my wife. The creature's eyes softened, and for a moment, I saw a glimmer of the woman I had loved.
Maybe not, but I tried to be.
With that, the entity transformed into a shadowy mist and vanished into the night, leaving Aurora and me standing in stunned silence. In the days that followed, Cameron tried to help make sense of it all.
Man, that's some messed up stuff.
He said, shaking his head.
But you gotta move on, for Aurora's sake.
I nodded, knowing he was right. But the memory of Autumn's transformation haunted me. I couldn't shake the feeling that she was still out there, somewhere, watching us. One night, as I was tucking Aurora into bed, she looked up at me with tears in her eyes.
Dad, do you think Mom will ever come back?
I hugged her tightly, trying to hide my own fear. I don't know, sweetie, but we'll be okay. We have each other. As I turned off the light and closed her bedroom door, I couldn't help but feel a cold shiver run down my spine. Our lives would never be the same, but we had to keep moving forward. For now, we lived with the chilling knowledge that the world was far more terrifying and mysterious than we had ever imagined. And somewhere out there, the entity that had taken Autumn's place was still lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to return.